So I guess what do we got last, man? We got this Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween ends. I'll let you do the synopsis of it.
All right. Let me see. Let me find this.
I don't think the synopsis gives this thing any,
Yeah, this is wild. Yeah. So 4 years. God, this is even. I didn't even know that. That's good, yo. 4 years after her last encounter with mass killer Michael Myers, Laurie Strode is living with her granddaughter and trying to finish her memoir. Myers hasn't been seen since, and Laurie finally decides to liberate herself from rage and fear and embrace life. However, when a young man stands accused of murdering a boy that he was babysitting, that was the best part of the movie. It ignites the cascade of violence and terror that forces Laurie to confront the evil she can't control. Dude, I had no idea this was 4 years after. I felt like it might have been a year or a few months.
No, I didn't 4 years after.
But you know what, though? My fault. I did walk in like 5 minutes late. So I'm not even going to lie, dude. I walked in, so maybe I missed that explanation, man. I didn't know it was 4 years later. And let me get into this cast, man. We've got Jamie Lee Curtis, James Jude Courtney, Andy Matichak, Nick Castle, Rohan Campbell, Kyle Richards, Judy Greer, Will Patton, Emily Brinks, Michael O'Leary, Omar J. Dorsey. Yo, I'm laughing. I'm telling you, man, John West Jr. This movie was a wild ride for me, man. Like, I will say this, man. There's not much that I did like about it. Except for the beginning, like that, the introduction to one of our main characters, Cory Cunningham. I thought that was so well done, and when I saw that, for a moment, I was like, "Oh, this might work." But then the rest of the movie goes on from there, and it gets a little wild. But now that I know it's 4 years later, I've got 4 years worth of questions. Yo, this is wild. I'm so confused now. Wow. What did you think, man?
Overall, the tone of this film seems like it was a lot darker. They did mention that a lot of the people in the town, it kind of reminded you of it in a way where people were affected by the events that happened in the past, because it was just multiple like weird homicides and stuff that were brought up, or kind of a small montage about that in the beginning of the film. So it kind of had a bit of an element of dread, even like the Halloween, like in the other two films. Well, the other film happens in one night, but you had a lot of trick or treaters and stuff, just out, and this one that was just, it was pretty much dead out in a way.
Yeah. I did notice that there were no trick or treaters.
Yeah, there were no trick or treaters and stuff. So the town was really affected by that what had happened 4 years ago.
Yeah, man, especially after he killed 30 people.
Yeah. I think he did incident in the hospital and all that stuff. But like,
maybe 60 then if you count the hospital.
Yeah. But it's parts of this film I actually like. But other parts of this film, I just think it's a hot mess. Like, your name's Cory, just like the main character, like one of the main characters in here. And I think Cory was doing a little too much in this film.
Yeah.
You do a little too much too, Cory.
I mean, I did like the characterization. Like, I thought Cory was well acted. I didn't like Laurie's daughter so much. What was her name?
Granddaughter. Yeah,
the granddaughter. I didn't feel the chemistry there, man. Because they kind of throw them together, and that gets weird. I'm like, that's just the easiest. Like, I felt like it would have been better if we just left him alone and he's just trying to come, because basically he's kind of a social misfit, because of what happened in the beginning, because of that death that happened while he was babysitting. And pretty much, it was an accident, man. I blame that kid,
They don't really tell you how long. They really don't tell you how long that had happened in between what he was going through, do they?
Yeah. It doesn't. It doesn't.
I guess it might have been a year. I guess it might have been a year because that was one Halloween, and then there was another Halloween that all this stuff was happening. But it doesn't it never see that you know.
But see, like I said, that 4 years that introduces a big plot hole to me. And then what? Like if this was a year, so that was a Halloween night, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Myers, it's convoluted, man. But then But it just brings questions. I don't want to spoil. You definitely got to see it. But they did this dumb thing too. I think where they did this dual release, and apparently this thing had a good opening. Opening for what it was. So I don't know why they still decided to cut their knees off a little bit. At the box office. But yeah, there are parts that work, but then there's a lot of just the interpersonal and some of the relationship things that just don't hold up on the scrutiny, or they just feel cliched for no reason, man. It's like, come on, guys. I know you could have thought of something better than this, man. I will say this: it definitely kind of ends, the franchise as we know it. At the end of this, man. So I don't know what's going to happen, man. I don't know if they're going to come back and restart this thing all over.
Yeah, it's probably going to be another restart at some point. But I don't know. I don't know if this one might have left a bad taste in people's mouths. I overall like the first two films in the series. I am still conflicted on this third film. It's so much. It's so much stuff that happens in it. It's parts of it I actually like. But I'll put it like this. I'll kind of put this in like when I go back and watch like the Nolan Batman trilogy. Mm-hmm. The first two films are fairly solid to me, but the third film, Rises, it was a little too much. What's
funny about Rises? Like I think when I was in the theater, I was in it, but then. I don't know what happened. Maybe I was just so excited to see Batman again. But when I rewatched it, I was like,
"What the fuck?"
Doing a lot. It is. It's doing a lot.
Yeah, that's the feeling I had when I was watching this Halloween Ends. And I don't know if it was just like they should have just left it with two, and somebody else should have picked up the helm after those two films, or what? Instead of them making a trilogy, but I had the same like bad feeling I had after I watched The Dark Knight Rises. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a Batman film I never really rewatched.
I also thought it was weird. Like there's a procession at the end of this movie that just didn't.
I'm
like, put it this way: if you looked out your window and you saw all your neighbors walking down the street, and you would just go out there and just join up, or would you even have the wherewithal to just be like, "Yo, what are y'all doing? What's going on?" Oh, okay, I'm going with you. It just felt really weird. It's just I don't know, man. Like this, no one called 911. Oh my God! I don't know, man. We're probably gonna continue this discussion when I stop hitting this record button because I've got questions that really
we get
about 4 years, man. But I don't know, dude. I didn't love it. It did well.
I really didn't hate it. I really didn't love it. Like I said, I'm conflicted by it, but I just don't. I'll put it like this. It wasn't predictable. Most films in a trilogy, you pretty much can predict what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. This one was off the rails in a way.
Yeah.
And I got Cory was doing a little too much for me.
Yeah, they had him doing a lot, man.
They had him doing a lot.
I was like, man, this poor guy. Because the actor was solid. He was good enough. But I was like, man, this script. You know what? I got worried, man, when it came on. Because like I said, the funny thing is, when it came on, and I did like the opening sequence because we always get that pumpkin as the credits are coming on at the beginning of these. And I thought it was cool how they had the pumpkins bursting out of each other, and each one was a different face, and it peeled back. I thought that was cool. Yeah, but then when the part came up and it said writers, and there was like 4 writers on this, I was like, man, I don't think I've ever seen a movie that had 4 writer credits that I enjoyed. It's just for some reason that's not a formula for success. I've seen films that had 2 writers on it. I've seen a film that had a writer and then maybe another guy brought in to do rewrites or what's her name, man? She passed away. Leia, played Princess Leia.
I know.
Carrie Fisher would come in and that was what the hit on
doctor, whatever.
Yeah, Doctor.
Yeah, but all 40s. all four of these guys were in unison in writing this film, and I think it ended up being a bit of a mess. But I kind of wonder if they were doing all that together anyway.
Or if also like part of it's like no one's going to be like, yo, this is too much, man. Back up on this. Let's punch this up. Like, I got questions, man. It's crazy. But they did 40 million opening weekend on this. I think they said they had like a $10 million budget or something like that, or it was relatively low.
It did make some money. But the whole thing is like, I've seen way worse Halloween films, by the way, that I think are way worse films. And
that's just put this way, man. Like I just talked about the Spirit Halloween, and it's not that good, but I liked it better than this.
Yeah, but you know something, Cory. Me and you might be talking about this film right now, and probably about 10 years from now or 20 years from now, it will probably be the biggest deal. People coming back and revisit this film. I know people hate it, like, and this is a film I actually liked a lot the first time I saw it with Halloween 3. People hated Halloween 3 when that first came out, but that is a solid film. It it's completely different than the others, but
is Michael Myers in Halloween 3?
The film Halloween is actually on the TV screen. You never seen Halloween 3?
Well, it's not about him though. That's probably what they hate.
Yeah, it goes.
That's probably why they hate it. It's a
completely different story. Yeah, John Carpenter was going to try to make this into an anthology series, and it didn't. It didn't take. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wish that it probably couldn't have been that.
I can see people having blowback against that, especially if you like you expect to see Michael Myers, but. And not giving it a fair chance. But I don't know if this is going to come back and be one that I like, though. Like, I did like seeing the sheriff. That was cool, though. What's my man's name, man? Who plays
Omar Dorsey.
Yeah. When I saw him, it was so funny because we don't see him no other time in the movie. He's not even poking around like, hey, I hear Michael's back around. But when we see him, dude, I hollered because it was the right time to show his face. Yeah. I was like, yo, this is crazy. And I will put out too, man, this is where I had fun in the movie, because even though I didn't like this, I still try to have fun when I go to the movie. Yo, the last 30 minutes, man, this dude started snoring. And he was out, yo. He was down. I was like, man, I was watching the Texas Chainsaw because it was like this older black couple behind me, and I swear to God, because at first we all heard it, yo, and she started laughing, man, and then I just started laughing, and then the dude was like I didn't know this was a comedy. He starts laughing, and then it became a thing where every time he started going off, because I don't think he woke up at one point, but
really?
It would just get louder, then it would go away, and it would get louder. And every time it kicked in, like on clockwork, me and this woman behind me was just trying to stifle our laughter. Like, we was just giggling through that last 30 minutes, the fight with Laurie, that elevated the experience for me. It wasn't even on the screen that was the fun part. It was what was happening in the theater around me, man. That's why I go to the movie sometimes. Sometimes that audience interaction works perfectly. And dude, I kid you not, man, when the last thing came up in the end of this movie, and right when the credits came up, this motherfucker was like, it was right on time. And dude, and we just hollered and just got up and left. It was just perfect timing. Like, his snoring kicked in right when the first line of the closing credits came up, man. It was amazing. It was wild, man. That was worth it alone, just to sit through this, even though I didn't mostly enjoy it. So, but yeah, man, it's out there. I will say this, man. I think the Peacock kind of, streaming, it does take away some of the stakes of taking a risk on a movie in some cases, man. Like, even though I
watch it on Peacock myself,
because I still prefer the theater, man. For me, man, I'm too easily distracted at home. But this is a big deal, man. I mean, they got a winner, so I think, just knowing Hollywood, they're going to take another swipe at this. They're probably just going to remix the original story and come back in like 2 or 3 years and boom, and start all over again. Yeah.